too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
After an amazing race in Pocono Mountains last week, we come to the southern tip of Florida in Homestead-Miami Speedway for round number 13 of season 46 of the Western States Racing League. Tony Trapasso up in the booth with you, joined with me by my partner in crime, the man, the myth, the living legend himself over on the ones and twos in the production truck, giving you all the beautiful camera angles tonight, Mr. Dave Regal. And Dave, I love me some truck racing at Homestead.
You know what? Homestead is definitely one of those tracks where in the trucks, I mean, you're going to see some amazing side-by-side racing, yet at the same time, we're going to see guys get nice and strung out. And, not strung out in a bad way, that's for sure, as we're off to a rolling start on this broadcast. But
yeah, we're not talking about like a methadone clinic strung out. We're talking about just spread out.
Right. And, at this kind of a track, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some really rough patches here, especially coming out of turn 4 back onto the front stretch where that transition does have a tendency to upset the truck if you're a little bit too low here. But, I think we're going to see some really great racing. And the Western States Racing League, Tony, has proven week in and week out how good they are.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, you take a look at the strength of the field tonight, and we're at 2,700 for an average I rating along the entirety of the field. And these guys average in their top 10, you're north of 3,700 week in and week out. These are some of the best of full-fendered stock car racers in the entirety of the iRacing server that you're about to sit back and watch tonight. As big shocker, Bentley Glazer goes to the top of the pile in qualifying. Raise your hand if you didn't see that one coming. That's what I thought.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what. I mean, Jeff Schmeyer winning last week at Pocono. I mean, he's a strong driver himself, but Bentley Glazer has proven week in and week out, sitting here atop the leaderboard as we look at Christian Bishop. Bentley Glazer has proven week in and week out why he sits atop those point standings, followed by Jeff Schmeyer, who's behind him by 45 points. Brian Barnes in third in your season points with Kyle McCartney, your winner last year here at Homestead-Miami Raceway, down 79 points from Bentley Glazer. And Bob Beltrami, of course, the great man who gets this Western States Racing League rolling every week, in fifth position.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing you got to consider, too, Bentley Glazer is a 3-time defending champion coming into this season. That's unheard of for somebody to just continuously dominate a championship season for 3 consecutive years, and guys still show up in droves to try to beat him. You know, as a matter of fact, 2 seasons ago, they put a bounty on his head.
Is that real? Is that true?
Yeah, they put a bounty out. Anybody that could beat Bentley would get, I think it was like $25 iRacing bucks.
Obviously, that didn't go so well.
No, it did happen. Ryan Steele beat him in the final race of the season to collect.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's
But
impressive.
It was like 10 races left, and it took them until the final race of the season before somebody could collect.
Wow. Well, Fred Williams here in the number 95 Chevrolet, finishing his qualifying effort here, gets himself P9 here on the leaderboard, as Kyle McCartney, like I said just a few moments ago, he's got about a half a lap in on his qualifying effort. We'll ride along with him, and we'll see if he can get himself settled in here during his qualifying lap. And folks, just in case you didn't know, I am privileged enough here to be sitting alongside the Sim Racing Media and ESPN Employee of the Month. And Tony, I can't tell you enough that you've earned this, buddy. I mean, for you folks out there listening and watching, if you like hanging out with Tony and I on a Tuesday night here with the Western States Racing League, Tony is available on more than just Tuesday nights. Tony, what are you working right now?
Oh, let's see. I do the IF1 or iFormula IF1 race on Sunday afternoons. I do the ISNF Cup Series on Sunday evenings. Monday, that league has since folded, so I'm off on Mondays finally. Tuesday, I'm here with you in Western States. Wednesday, I do Thunderclap Racing with Frank Marchese. Thursday, I do the TNT Truck Series with Frank. And Friday, I rock solo with the Circle B Diecast Rowdy Energy Super Speedway League.
So Tony Trapasso, quite the busy beaver here on ESPN. Folks, come out and support Tony. As you know, he is out here supporting our racing leagues on ESPN and Sim Racing Media. As you know, we're here to provide you with some great, not just great racing on the track, but also some entertainment here, because you know nobody wants to just sit and watch a race and see the cars go around in a circle, as is usually the joke about NASCAR racing and iRacing in general. Making a left
turn.
We're making another left turn.
Come back in a half hour after you fix the sandwich and ate dinner. What are you gonna miss? Not a thing. No, I'm kidding.
And that's what's impressive to me. That, you know, hanging out with you, Tony, just adds so much more excitement and, for lack of a better term, adds color to the picture that we're already painting here in HD on YouTube. So,
well, I mean, those that have been around and know the Esports Broadcasting Network since day one, one thing you know for certain is I'm never going to pull any punches. You know, some people may not like the way I present things at times, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
No, you know, and you shouldn't sugarcoat it. I mean, you know, people want to hear the truth.
Yeah, you're going to get honesty every time.
Which is something that I appreciate. I mean, you know, we were just talking off the air before we came on tonight about our first broadcast together, and it was a little clunky. as it was almost like somebody had pulled the choke out on the chainsaw and it just sat there, starving for air. But, you have definitely breathed some good, healthy air into, our relationship and this broadcast. And I mean, it's just exciting to come in here. Like, I look forward to my Tuesday nights, no matter how late it is here on the East Coast, just to hang out with you for a couple hours.
I appreciate that, Dave. And conversely, I enjoy broadcasting with you as well. We've got to do more of it. So any league owners out there that are looking to have us pick up another league on a Monday or Monday would be ideal. Go ahead and head on over to the Sim Racing Media Facebook page. Let us know what your league is, and we can get you some pricing set in place.
Absolutely. And we will talk about the schedule that we follow here on Sim Racing Media and ESPN. As it's extensive. It is longer sometimes than the city of Detroit's phone book. So, by the way,
15 races a week.
Kids, for your information, a phone book used to be a big, thick thing with very thin pages that you used to have to look into to get people's phone number to call them at home on a landline.
Yeah, and the phone was attached to the wall, so you never had to worry about losing it.
Exactly. So, stay tuned with Uncle Tony and Uncle Dave as we will bring you more trips down memory lane to make ourselves feel just a little bit older than we already are.
Two boomers in a booth.
Hey, whoa, I'm not a Are you a boomer? You're not a boomer.
No. No, I'm a Gen Xer.
I am the very beginning of being a millennial. Not very proud of it.
I won't hold that against you.
Yeah, I'm not very proud of it. My fellow millennials make me, nervous.
Yeah. I think it's the generation that came behind you, when you were getting out of elementary school. Those kids that were just starting to come in, those are the ones that really worry me.
Trust me, I get it. I do.
But qualifying almost complete here, and not a big shocker at the front of this piece is two drivers from OGR sitting atop the pile. That is the tandem of Bentley Glazer and Jeff Hollingsworth. As I'm sure if we broke down what the season has looked like so far, the vast majority of front row has been locked out by those two.
Absolutely. And while we're getting ourselves all settled in here for tonight's race, we do want to take a look at your race conditions here. It is 81 degrees in beautiful South Florida. That track temperature, though, is going to be a factor tonight, Tony.
Ouch.
132 degrees around this 1.5-mile speedway in suburban Miami. I'll tell you what, that's going to make for some interesting racing.
Very much so, as cars starting to grid up. So what do you say we take a look at the starting grid, Dave?
Absolutely. Give me 1 second to pull that bad boy up here. There it is. Of course, sitting atop the pole tonight is Bentley Glazer in the number 87 Gatorade Chevrolet, followed by Jeff Hollingsworth on the outside of row 1 in the number 97 tonight, sponsored by the U.S. Coast Guard. Andre E. Savala is on the inside of row 2 with Kyle McCartney on his outside. Christian Bishop starting in 5th, and Dennis Fuson on the outside of row number 3. Wayne Hutchison in the number 32 Toyota Tundra in 7th, with Paul Crumry in the number 15 Chevrolet on the outside of row 4. Brian Barnes rolls off in 9th position, followed by Jeff Schmeyer in the number 33 Ford on his outside. That is your winner from last week at Pocono. Tony?
Charles Woods and Julian Arici are going to roll off in row number 6. Row 7 brings us chief cook and bottle washer for the Western States Racing League, Bob Beltrami. He's going to be joined in row number 7 with Carl Burke. Row 8 sees Fred Williams and Rob Gall in that Fujifilm Chevy Silverado. Chris Walker making his return to the league. He's going to be joined in row number 9 with Timmy Bates in the Mission 22 Ford F-150. Now, we did see Bates run up towards the front a couple weeks back, last time he was with Western States, so hopefully he can continue that momentum. Kelly Bishop and Troy Campbell rounding out row 10. Row number 11 is going to see Javier Perez-Torres and Justin Burns, Scott Kukas, and Gary Johnson rolling off in row 12. Row 13 is going to go, come on. Row 13 is going to go to Richard Mcclure and Alan Bergen. Bergen, the last one to post a time in qualifying. Keith Kelman and Eric Woods rolling off in row 14, with row 15 going to Daryl Scott and Angelo Espo. Barry Phil and James Campbell rolling off in row 16. Starting shotgun on the field in row 17 is going to be the 36 of Theo Bishop and the 28 of Will Fletcher. Kelman, Woods, Scott, Espo, Phil, Campbell, Bishop, and Fletcher all being lined up via their iRating. 100% fuel fill here tonight. 4 sets of tires to get it done with, and only 1 fast repair in their pocket as the field works its way into the 3-4 complex behind the iRacing pace car, that Ford Mustang GT500, the official pace car of iRacing. Glazer going to have the button, and the only thing that's really left for me to say, Dave, is it's time to wipe the visor, adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, pop some popcorn, because it's time to get it on in South Florida. Race fans, it's showtime!
And we see Bentley Glazer bringing the field through turn 1 as we are now underway, marching toward 107 laps to complete tonight. Jeff Hollingsworth following close by. Whoa, that was a violent camera change. And we see on the inside here, Andre E. Savala and Dennis Fuson working side by side here, as it looks like Savala chasing down Kyle Mccartney in the number 18 Toyota, as Mccartney, as I mentioned earlier, the winner last year here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. And now we see Jeff Schmeyer in his number 33, that double tray, working his way forward from Reformation Brewery here at the beginning of this piece, as these drivers are trying to find where the most comfortable position on the racetrack is going to be tonight.
A little bit of a gap starting to form between Schmeyer in 7th and Paul Crumry in 8th, as 7-truck breakaway starting to form at the front of this piece. Crumry has to deal with the number 4 of Brian Barnes, and Barnes, seems weird not to see Popsicle on that truck yet this season, but looks like we've got to come up with a new paint scheme for the 4, as the new Toyota Tundra doesn't quite have the same paint schemes available as the old one did. But everybody playing nice so far. We got a little bit deeper in the pack, and there's a big shakeup around 20th, as Gary Johnson and Richard Mcclure are both up 3 from where they started, sitting in 20th and 21st respectively.
And Gary Johnson working the inside of the number 95 driven by Fred Williams, as he has this Eat More Chicken Chick-fil-A machine now wound up as best as he can, coming out of turn 4 and down the front stretch, as he is drafting himself up but not able to get the run yet on Williams. Right now, Kelly Bishop and Richard Mcclure exchanging blows back here in 22nd and 23rd, as we are now 4 laps in of 107, that number 29 Procraft Space Sheep Chevrolet working the inside. Whoa!
Contact down the back straightaway. That was James Campbell and Theo Bishop getting into it. And, oi! How is that not a caution?
Well, let's take a look back there and see what you saw. As we're watching here, James Campbell in the number 20, looking to see him get around Theo Bishop. As it appears, no harm, no foul, and no caution.
No harm, no foul. Have you seen Bishop's truck?
I have not yet. Oh.
Yeah, wait till they get to turn 3, my friend.
Let's see what happened here. There we go. Now it registered on SDK. Let's take a look.
Yeah, that was ugly with a capital UG.
Of course, both trucks coming down onto the apron. Wow! 36 definitely just got spun around like a top and plowed down to the inside.
Yeah, that was bad. That was very bad.
That's definitely something that's uncharacteristic of Western States Racing League, as we have seen a lot of green flag runs here not too many of the cautions that are usually bred by so many different leagues that we see, of course, and public races. Western States Racing League does pride themselves in being a clean racing organization.
Absolutely. As we got some clean racing going up towards the front of this piece, that's Schmeyer and Crumry going at it, cats and dogs right now. Crumry on the low side, Schmeyer on the high side, and Crumry looking to bring Barnes with him, as now we've got a 9-truck breakaway at the front, and then you're almost 2 full seconds back to the 10th spot, held down by Bob Beltrami.
And Beltrami in that number 14 Beltrami Salami Toyota, leading Carl Burke in the number 53 Chevrolet. Carl Burke, of course, driving that Chevrolet. We will drop right here to him. That number 53 Chevrolet, sponsored by our good friends over at Outdoor Cast Iron Cooking, Tony.
Yeah, and this week's recipe of the night is going to be apple vanilla cream cheese cobbler. So they walk you through. It's 3 easy steps. You got the apple portion, the vanilla cream cheese portion, and then the dough, and they show you how to prepare that. And it's scrumptious. That's the best way I can describe it. It's scrumptious. There's your SAT word of the day, folks. So hop on over to Outdoor Cast Iron Cook YouTube channel, and remember, it's all about eating good in the outdoors.
Absolutely. And, while we were talking about that early on, you and I have both always prided ourselves in being, large chassis human beings. And I'll tell you what, that apple vanilla ice cream cheese cobbler just really...
Oh, no, it's not ice cream.
Well, it's, apple vanilla cream, I'm sorry.
Cream cheese. So it's kind of like an apple cheesecake cobbler.
I guess I need to learn how to read.
Yeah, it's like an apple cheesecake cobbler.
I'm in.
So am I. Hell yeah.
One of the things that we keep talking about, as I had mentioned, the Beltrami Salami Toyota, is the mashup that we're hoping for from Outdoor Cast Iron Cooking. So if you're paying attention, Fog Crawler and Teardrop Natty, we're waiting for the Beltrami Salami Pizza in an Outdoor Cast Iron pan.
Absolutely. As I'm checking in with the live chat right now, Greg Devers pulling for the number 52, the Udder Truck.
The Udder Truck.
The Udder Truck.
And right now, I'm keeping an eye on Rob Gall, who is chasing down Charles Woods in the number 40 United States Postal Service Chevrolet, as it looks like Charles is just hitting those marks, but as he has gotten himself drafted up now, it looks like he is going to try to follow Wayne Hutchison here in the number 32 Toyota, and almost like Carl Burke is dropping down and kind of putting a damper on that run.
Well, Burke just got into the wall going through 3, so that's going to let Hutchinson and Ricci both get by him. But if you're watching in the live chat, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. It really helps share this video with the YouTube algorithm. Also, make a comment in the live chat, and you can be entered to win free merch from Sim Racing Media and the Esports Broadcasting Network. And then head on over to our Facebook page, Sim Racing Media, who are the parent company of the Esports Broadcasting Network. And you can get entered to win some free merch, as I believe tonight is the last night of that.
I'm pretty sure you're correct here. And Brian Barnes, working the low side of Jeff Schmeyer, secures 8th position from Schmeyer in the number 33 Reformation Brewery Ford. That F-150 now going to be chasing down Barnes, as it looked like he was thinking about setting up the crossover move, but thought better of it and went high here. Saving tires, of course, as we're only 15 laps in on this piece, but it looks like he gets a pretty strong run out of 2 to come down the backstretch here as we get ready to enter turn 3.
Yeah, another coat of paint on that outside wall, and Barnes would have been in trouble, though, as he's now trying to reel in the 15 of Paul Crumry, as a little bit of a 3-truck tango right there, as there is a little bit of a gap forming between Andre Savala in 6th and Paul Crumry in 7th, as Crumry has both Barnes and Schmeyer in tow. and then you're another almost full second back to Bob Beltrami. Field's starting to get that strung out like we were talking about earlier. Your closest battle right now is currently right around 22nd with Kelly Bishop and Barry Phil.
Absolutely. And, right now just trying to get a pretty good shot of what's going on here. And, the blimp isn't even able to get the entire field as strung out as they are. But I do see Brian Barnes working his way around Paul Crumry here on the front stretch as they cross the stripe for lap 17. And Barnes now working to secure that spot. And at this point, it looks kind of like Crumry decided he was going to err on the side of caution along with Jeff Schmeyer.
I'm wondering what happened to the 30 of Timmy Bates. Currently running in the 30th spot. He's dropped 5 positions from where he started, and that truck looks like it's been through a war.
I'll say he has. I don't see him on the incident page here.
I didn't either. That's why I'm wondering what happened. Well, if we do get a caution, we're going to have to talk to the driver of the 30.
Absolutely. And right now, Bob Beltrami with a handful of Wayne Hutchison working the low side, as it looks like Hutchison and Schmeyer both trying to work Crumry and Beltrami. And Beltrami, I have to say, he seems to be one of these drivers that is completely patient. He's almost in a state of zen when he can sit out here, take his time. I mean, we're only 19, just about to be 20 laps in this piece. And, Beltrami can absolutely hang in as long as he keeps that truck nice and clean. Not really worried to see if he gets upset over Hutchison now making the pass for 10th position.
Well, there's a reason for that, Dave, and that's because being this is a fixed setup league, Bob knows this setup is going to be one of the best. He's gotten it from our very good friends over at Jones Setup Shop. And if your league is looking for a very racy setup for your next league race, head on over to Jones Setup Shop, and they can get you sorted out pretty quick with what you're going to need. Some of the best setups around for dirt, for pavement, road racing, dirt road course, whatever you're trying to drive, chances are Jones has the setup for you. So let them know that we sent you, and you can be as comfortable as Bob Beltrami is right now.
Absolutely. And, we talk about fixed setups and open setups. And for you folks at home that don't know, a fixed setup race means that every one of these cars out on the track right now, so all 32 of them, as it looks like Campbell and Fletcher have decided to put it on the hauler early tonight. But
yes.
All 32 of these cars have exactly the same shock package, have exactly the same aero package, have exactly the same everything. The only thing that these drivers can do is change their steering ratio, which is more of a comfort thing, and their brake bias. Brake bias, of course, referring to how much pressure goes to the front brakes and the rear brakes, percentage. So that means that these trucks are now being driven under skill. If you have an open setup, maybe you're going to Jones because you're really trying to win, and Jones has the fastest setup for so many different tracks. Or maybe you're someone who uses VRS or Majors or one of the other, setup shops out there. At that point, now you're trying to find a setup to match your skill. For myself, I'm a fair to Midland racer. So I usually need a good setup to keep myself, challenged out there on the track. So these drivers are all working on skill, and obviously, as you just mentioned, Bob Beltrami knows how to get it done, but another driver out here who knows how to get it done, especially on the long run, is Kyle Mccartney. It seems like every week we're watching Mccartney on the long run. Oh, and he just gets down below the apron.
Yeah, he had a big wiggle coming out of 2.
I'll say, Dave, it's going to take him a little bit now to catch back up to Glazer, who has now opened himself about a 9/10 of a second gap over Mccartney, who now has his rearview mirror full of Jeff Hollingsworth in the U.S. Coast Guard Chevrolet. Dennis Fuson, we're just running through the field here in 4th right now with Christian Bishop hot on his trail in 5th. Brian Barnes, with 24 laps complete, is running in 6th position and up 3 spots from where he had qualified. Right now, your biggest mover of the night is Barry Phil, who started in 31st and is now running in 21st. in the number 42 Chevrolet. I'm sorry, in the number 42 Toyota.
And he's looking to get 20th spot from Fred Williams in that Midwest 95, as those guys have been in lockstep for the last couple of laps as Phil backs off to try to get a run on Williams. But Williams looks like he's already received a couple of chrome horns tonight, as that tailgate and rear bumper have seen better days.
I'll say they have. And, quite frankly, looking here at Chris Walker in the number 34, this is where I would want to be right now. He's got a nice buffer on either side of that truck. And with 26 laps in, he's closing slowly but surely on Charles Woods, as he is gaining about 2 to 300th of a second per lap. He's out here running a nice clean race as he now gets a run on Charles Woods in that USPS Chevrolet. I'll tell you what, week in and week out, especially as we're here in beautiful South Florida, these drivers just shock me every week with their ability.
Well, the battle is really hot behind Walker and Woods, as it's Julian Ricci's 1 and the 31 of Rob Gall just going at it cats and dogs right now, as Gall has looked a couple of times as Ricci goes to the low side coming off a 4. Looks like he may have caught that bump wrong and had to chase it down track. That's going to let Gall get to his door as they go into turn 1. Ricci, though, is going to go full send-it mode and just make it stick on the low side. Currently working lap 27 of 107.
And Julian Ricci here, who was taken out fairly late last week during the race, making himself a good run tonight, down 2 positions from where he qualified, followed by Rob Gall in the number 31 Chevrolet in that Fujifilm mobile there, chasing him down. Of course, Podium sponsoring Julian Ricci, who had a pretty rough end of the race last week, if you remember. But now we have just about 3 wide, as it appears Javier Perez Torres wants to start dancing.
That's what it looks like. No, that's not Torres. Torres is about 3 seconds behind Gall right now.
What's this?
That is the lap truck of... I have no idea, because I'm not even showing a 00 on track.
I don't see a 00 on scoring and timing, so there's a conundrum. Folks, if you are watching us tonight, feel free to subscribe and turn on those bell notifications. And please, if you know who's driving the 00 truck, give us a shout.
Alan Bergen, who is being scored as the 17. So this goes back to what we commonly talk about, is this is why we don't let tech officials drink while they're handing out the transponders.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with a few adult beverages to keep things relaxed.
Yeah, but shotgunning a 5th of Jack is never a good idea while you're trying to work meticulously on a race car.
Well, that's true. Chances are, folks, what that is 17 car driven by Alan Bergen, probably a custom paint, perhaps made by Trading Paints, which is a very common piece of software that we use in iRacing, and he may have the wrong number baked into that paint for this design. So chances are it's the paint that he wants us to see, but not the number.
Probably not wrong.
Well, probably not wrong except for this league.
Battle starting to heat up now around 6 as Wayne Hutchinson works his way by Brian Barnes. Little Toyota on Toyota crime there as Hutchinson continues his climb back up through the field. Had dropped a couple positions, now sitting +1 in the number 6 spot.
And we see Hutchison trying his very best to hold off Brian Barnes, who in that NASCAR Hall of Fame Toyota is one of those drivers that we can start to see. Sometimes I kind of picture him like a yo-yo. He gets a good run on somebody. He keeps them right in his sights, so he knows when to make that move. I mean, Barnes only separated from Hutchison by about 3/10, almost 4/10 of a second. That is not a whole lot of gap. But right now, I see that by 2/10 of a second, Bentley Glazer is holding off Kyle McCartney, as McCartney has now begun to reel him in slowly but surely here on lap number 32 of 107. And McCartney with Hollingsworth about 6/10 of a second behind him. So right now, the battle for first heating up here. at Homestead-Miami Raceway. And folks, we are going to step aside right now and hear from our good friends over at the Jones Setup Shop and SRM, our parent company. We thank you, and we will be right back.
Drivers that took time, all of them within 3.5 tenths of each other tonight is going to be a very closely competitive race.
As the field works its way out of the 3-4 complex, the only thing that's left to say is wipe the visor, adjust the 5-point safety harness, because race fans, it's showtime!
Amazing looking cars already. Green flag will fly.
Well, oh, they're wrecking! Well, one thing that you're going to see at this track that we haven't seen the last few weeks is a surface that's multi-group. I think this is the first multi-group surface we're going to have.
After an amazing race at Daytona, we now come to the left coast and Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California for the second round of the Way She Goes Racing League Cup Series.
Welcome back to Homestead-Miami, where Kyle Mccartney is your race leader in the number 18, now coming down for his green flag pit stops, as green flag pits are underway tonight, folks, as Bentley Glazer just coming off of pit road. Barry Phil in for service right now in the number 42 Toyota Tundra. Kyle Mccartney coming all the way down pit road, as he had, of course, qualified in fourth, so we're going to see him take that number 4 pit stall here in Homestead. Barry Field now just pulling out as your race leader for the time being is Wayne Hutchison in the number 32 Toyota Tundra. And, you know, I'm not trying to be pessimistic here, but obviously that's going to change. And as I say that, Hutchison comes down pit road, and that will leave Dennis Fuson in the Tito's Handmade Vodka Chevrolet atop the leaderboard for the time being, Tony.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's one of those deals that we see week in and week out. Fuson knows how to get mileage out of a tank and go fast. As Charles Woods currently sitting in second, you can see him separated by the lap truck that is the 33 of Jeff Schmeyer right now. Schmeyer gets his lap back the hard way. Charles Woods sitting back there quite a few truck lengths off of Fuson, as Fuson's going to peel off to come down pit road this time.
And that'll leave Charles Woods atop, and it looks like he is going to stay out yet for another lap and get that bonus point for leading a lap.
And with the points battle as tight as it is, you kind of need to if you're Charles.
Oh, my goodness, yeah. And, you know, if you give me just a few moments here, I will pull up the rest of those point standings. We'll let you know where Charles Eaton is.
So effective race lead should see Jeff Hollingsworth take over the point here, as he's currently running in fifth, and everybody in front of him still has to come down for their first stop. So we're looking right around 40-ish laps. This should be about a 2-stop race here tonight from Homestead-Miami. As
And that points battle that we were just talking about, as Charles Woods is now in for pit service, leaving Kelly Bishop out to lead the pack for a lap or two here. Bentley Glazer sits atop the point standings with Jeff Schmeyer behind him, Brian Barnes, Kyle McCartney, and Bob Beltrami, your top five. Wayne Hutchison in 7th position with Dennis Fuson in that number 11 Tito's Handmade Vodka Chevrolet, running in, let's see here, 8th position right now. He actually lost a spot after last week at Pocono. So, there's only 118 points separating 8th from the top as things start to heat up here in the Western States Racing League.
And the thing to keep in mind is these guys get 2 drop weeks. So your 2 lowest finishing positions, you can wipe the slate clean, and they only come into play if we have a tiebreaker situation.
And we are down to the final, including this one, 8 races of the season. We're here at Homestead this week. The next week to Nashville Super Speedway. Of course, the week of Easter, we will be off that Tuesday night, and then go to Michigan, Loudon, Mosport, Eldora, Phoenix, an off week at the end of May, and then championship weekend in Las Vegas. So time running out as we are way past the halfway point in this season and marching ever closer to championship weekend in Las Vegas, Nevada. Can we discuss that, Tony, speaking of Nevada?
Why am I suddenly scared?
Nevada. What do you got?
I prefer the way that AC/DC put it. Just call it Sin City and get it over with.
All right, 10-4. 10-4, I can go with that. I hear so many people do it 2 different ways, and I just don't want to mispronounce it.
Well, Dave, let me explain it to you like this. As my father used to tell me, it's ignorance and apathy. You're ignorance, I'm apathy. Therefore, you don't know and I don't care. See what I did there? So Hollingsworth showing the way right now. It's Kelly Bishop and Kyle McCartney going hammer and tongs at it for the number 4 spot.
And right now, taking a look at Christian Bishop. Sorry for that delay, folks. My mic stand decided that it was going to start moving without being told. As we are looking at Christian Bishop here, running in 3rd right now behind Bentley Glazer. And Glazer, of course, chasing down Jeff Hollingsworth. And Glazer seems almost unstoppable as Hollingsworth going to get behind that lapped truck. Wow, that is tight. I mean, you have to start wondering to yourself, is it safer to try to get yourself around Gary Johnson or let Gary Johnson get out of your way, as these 2 drivers negate him pretty simply here atop the pile. And Hollingsworth now just 0.2 of a second in front of Bentley Glazer. And, we talk about this all the time because it seems like he's always there. But Bentley Glazer, just a really skilled driver.
Yeah, very much so. And, you take a look at him and Hollingsworth, they're both north of 4,000 for their I ratings. I'm sure if either one of them actually had the time and didn't have to work a full-time job in the real world, either one of them could have what we jokingly refer to in the iRacing servers as a black bumper, which, for those who aren't familiar with that, you're familiar with in regular NASCAR, they have the yellow stripe that they put on the bumpers of the cars. Well, in iRacing, a rookie here is designated by a red bumper. As Glazer gets into the wall off of 4, it's going to cost him a couple truck lengths on his teammate Hollingsworth. But the rookies are generally red bumpers. D-class license are orange. C are yellow. Green is for B-class license. Blue bumpers are your A-class license holders. And then they have what they call the black bumper brigade, or those with a pro license. and that's not easy to get.
Yeah, of course, those pro licenses are definitely the hardest in iRacing to get your hands on. And I mean, there's an entire, ladder of things that you have to complete here on iRacing. And I mean, iRacing itself has a wonderful system as far as licensing and iRating. Those guys, top of the heap. I mean, they might as well be driving real cars, not virtual cars here on a virtual track.
Right. But you got to think Jeff Hollingsworth is a veteran of the United States Coast Guard. Bentley Glazer, I believe late 30s, early 40s. And I'm not sure exactly what Bentley does for a living, but if I had to venture a guess, I would say he drives delivery truck with the fact that he's so controlled behind the wheel.
Absolutely. I mean, Bentley Glazer week in and week out, and we'll take a look here inside his truck as I can't get enough of watching this guy make his turns. You see these hands here on the wheel, just so smooth and gentle. He's not fighting it real hard. He's got a little bit of a turn back, but coming out of turn 4, definitely something that everybody's usually battling here and there.
Yeah, absolutely. As Glazer looks to the inside of Hollingsworth going through 1 and 2, they are in lockstep right now as Glazer now has the nose out front, has the clear coming off of 2. Glazer back to the point, and then you're almost 4 full seconds back to the 26th of Christian Bishop. And then Kyle Mccartney's right there with him, and then you're a little bit of a ways back to Jeff Schmeyer, currently sitting in 5th, as he is about 6 seconds off the pace.
Absolutely agreed. And Christian Bishop right now working the rear of Kyle Mccartney here is, wow, things are definitely heating up back here in the battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. As we are now 52 laps of 107 in, just a little shy of halfway. And I'm not going to say it, folks, but you know what I'm thinking right now. As we have gotten 52 good laps going, Christian Bishop chasing down Kyle Mccartney, absolutely working his tail off. We can even see the back end of that truck just a little loose on exit.
And getting a check-in from Greg Devers right now. Kyle McCartney, under that green flags pit stop, did slide through his box and lost 6 seconds. And he's telling us we should refer to Bentley Glazer as the water boy from now on, being as he's sponsored by Gatorade. Anyways, rest of the field getting pretty well strung out here, as Kelly Bishop finally coming in, bringing that 29 in for his first pit stop. So 53 laps out of a tank of fuel for the 29.
I'll tell you what, it looks like he's trying to. It looks like Kelly Bishop trying to do this on one stop. Not sure if he's going to make it all the way, as I'm sure right now his spotter was screaming at him, "Get in, get in, get in." So far tonight,
safe bet there.
What's that?
I said safe bet.
Yeah, absolutely. But Kyle McCartney, Bentley Glazer up atop this piece. Behind him, although, is Jeff Hollingsworth chasing him down with the lap car. That is the 32 car. Just lost that on my screen. Is that Scott Kukas in the 22?
Nope. Kukas is driving the Fruity Pebbles Chevy Silverado tonight.
That's interesting. Can't tell what that is back there. So, anyway, moving right along. Wayne Hutchison now in the midst of this battle with Brian Barnes. And I'll tell you what, every week we see here the 84 of Richard Mcclure. It seems like he's getting better every week, as right now, would there be that C word coming out, he would be the lucky dog this evening. But, Mcclure last week had a rough go of it at Pocono, and right now still holding up here with those lead lap cars, Tony.
He is. He just went a lap down, and he's got a very hungry Brian Barnes right behind him. But right now at the front of this piece, it's pretty much the usual suspects. You got Glazer, Hollingsworth, McCartney, Bishop. This is his first full season with the Western States Racing League, but he's quickly becoming a usual suspect. And then you've got last week's winner, Jeff Schmeyer, rounding out your top 5. Wayne Hutchinson, Brian Barnes, Dennis Husan. Same names that we're talking about every week. And the lowest I rating of that entire group belongs to Christian Bishop, who's still double what my I rating is.
You know, and folks, we talk about I ratings so often here, and you know, one of the things to understand is in a situation like this, you know, we're talking about skill. When you're out in the public servers, we're talking about, did you qualify? Are you the third ranked car in that public race? And can you finish higher than that third qualifying spot?
Right.
You know, so I rating is something that's more of a barometer for how good of a driver you are.
And what iRacing generally does in the open public servers for the official races, you know, they're going to, generally if there's what we call a split, they're going to put the better drivers together on track. And, you know, say for example, like my I rating is like 1200. They're not going to put me in the same split as Bentley Glazer and Jeff Hollingsworth on purpose. Because, you know, they're 4 times what my I rating is, which means that I should get my lunch eaten on me and my shoes stuffed in a garbage can by those 2 guys.
Absolutely. I mean, me personally, I couldn't hold a candle to this league. You know, don't get me wrong, maybe over time, sure, but as we've talked about before, these guys have been around for 46 seasons, which is 23 years. So pre-iRacing, I mean, and as we talked about earlier, that's pre-9/11, not to bring up a bad subject, but pre-9/11. So these drivers have been together for so long that many of our viewers hadn't even been born yet at that time.
You are correct, sir. As right now we've got a 3-car tango at the front of this piece. There's actually 4 trucks up there as Julian Ricci is now the last truck, or first truck 1 or more laps down, as Kyle McCartney full send-it mode to grab the lead away from Bentley Glazer.
And I'll tell you what, I don't blame McCartney because he knows that if you don't get the lead away from Bentley Glazer early, it's going to be a long road to hoe to try to get it back from him once your tires have been cooked. I mean, right now, Kyle McCartney is setting himself up with just under a half-second distance between himself and Glazer. And don't get me wrong, Glazer is going to eat that distance up here over time. But strategically, Kyle McCartney's got to think, I've got to get up here, I've got to start logging my laps and give my tires a chance to cool off so I can save that tread.
And one of the best tire savers in the league is behind the wheel of that Snap-on Tools number 18 Toyota Tundra. The later the run gets, Kyle McCartney becomes stronger and stronger. As right now, we're about 2/3 of the way through this race. So I would expect to see pit stops happening somewhere within the next 10 laps for what should be the money stop if we stay green.
Absolutely. And speaking of the money stops, feel free to keep an eye on our Sim Racing Media Facebook page, as the Money Stop with Tony and Dave will be featured as our new podcast over there. So keep an eye on that Sim Racing Media page. Follow us, give us a like, and get ready to tune in. If you know, like I said, if you like hanging out with us here on a Tuesday night, you'll like hanging out with us for a little bit of bonus time as we can talk about a myriad of different things, you know, from iRacing to today's sports and other things going on in the world. So keep an eye on that Sim Racing Media Facebook page. And if you are watching us on YouTube on ESPN, feel free to subscribe and turn on those bell notifications so you can get a notification every time we go live on a Tuesday night, Wednesday night. I mean, there is a full menu. You know, it's almost too big to consume everything after a while.
Most of the nights of the week, we're doing triple headers. Right now, except for Monday and Thursday, everything is at least a triple header. Whereas tonight, we are the nightcap of tonight's racing events. Tomorrow night will be another triple header as, let me pull this up on my side. We open up with the Thunderclap Stock Car Series Fontana 200 from Auto Club. That will be at 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time start. It'll be Frank Marchese, myself in the booth for that one. You, Dave, will be at Way She Goes Racing, round 7 at Richmond, and I believe Greg Marconi is joining you in the booth for that one at 9 p.m.
Yes, as a matter of fact, this will be Greg's first week in the booth with me as we head to Richmond.
Absolutely, a very skilled driver that we see on Friday nights for the Circle B Diecast Rowdy Energy Super Speedway Series. Marconi, one of the admins over there, and usually in the hunt for a championship. And then Thursday night, we've got the USRA TNT Truck Series, round number 10 from Five Flags. I am so looking forward to that one. And if Mama Bear can let you get away from the ranch for a little while, I would love to have you in the booth with that one with me, Dave.
Well, I can do my very best, and, we can talk about that. And, of course, everybody's got to clear that through the proper channels.
If Mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
That's fairly accurate, especially in our house. And, speaking of not being happy right now, I would say the happiest person right now is Kyle Mccartney, as he hasn't come in since lap number 37, so he's got one lap newer tires over Bentley Glazer. The rest of the field all coming in within that lap 34 to 39 window. And we are just about there, as you had previously mentioned, here on lap 68 of that pit window. So while we get set up here to finish this particular piece out, we will hear from our good friends over at the Jones setup.
Drivers that took time, all of them within 3.5 tenths of each other tonight is going to be a very closely competitive race.
As the field worked its way out of the 3-4 complex, the only thing that's left to say is wipe the visor, adjust the 5-point safety harness, because race fans, it's showtime!
Amazing looking cars already. Green flag will fly.
Oh, the racket! Well, one thing that you're going to see at this track that we haven't seen the last few weeks is a surface that's multi-group. I think this is the first multi-group surface we're going to have.
After an amazing race at Daytona, we now come to the West Coast and Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California for the second round of the Way She Goes Racing League Cup Series. And we are back from Homestead-Miami, round number 13 of the Western States Racing League. Working lap 72 of 107. We've already seen the second round of pit stops start. Glazer and Hollingsworth, two of the first ones to peel it on off. And if what the lap times are indicating, we're looking about 2.5, almost 3 seconds of fall off as Mccartney finally bringing it down pit road. Walker goes pit side. So what should be the money stop taking place right now, as we're right in that window of if you know what you're doing, you can make it from here if we stay green.
Absolutely.
Effective race lead going to go to the 87 of Glazer. Hollingsworth right there about a second behind his teammate.
Absolutely. And we see Kyle McCartney now on pit road, leaving Dennis Fuson at the top of this piece tonight. Here in the number 11 Tito's Handmade Vodka Chevrolet. I love saying that sponsor name. The Tito's Handmade Vodka Chevrolet here at the top of this piece. For the time being, as he hasn't been in since lap number 39, so he has definitely got a few more laps on his tires, as we're going to start keeping an eye on Brian Barnes and wait till he gets himself set up to come down pit road, and he does.
And the thing is about the Tito's Handmade Vodka, proudly made in the USA.
Yes, as we have mentioned previously, of course, due to what's going on right now in Ukraine, lots of people not drinking Russian-made alcohol. So do yourself a favor and support an American business with Tito's Handmade Vodka.
And let him know that Dennis Fuson sent you.
Absolutely. Christian Bishop now running in fourth position after he has come out of the pits with Jeff Hollingsworth and Bentley Glazer. And that will put Bentley Glazer back up at the top of this piece while Dennis Fuson comes down to get those 4 tires and a tank of Go Fast here at lap 75 of 107 at Homestead-Miami Speedway.
Currently showing 20 trucks on the lead lap as we sit right now, as Glazer back to the point, Hollingsworth about 4 seconds off the pace. Christian Bishop is another almost 2 full seconds behind him. Kyle McCartney coming out in fourth after his money stop is another 6.5 seconds back off of Bishop. Wayne Hutchinson in the 32 has already done his second stop, currently rounding out your top 5. Jeff Schmeyer right there with Hutchinson, as those two guys, 32 and 33, running stem to stern right now.
Absolutely, and Hutchison right now in the number 32 with Jeff Schmeyer hot on his trail. Schmeyer, of course, bringing home the checkered flag last week at Pocono. And that was an exciting race toward the finish, but they have a lot of distance between themselves and Bentley Glazer atop the pile. And now we see Javier Perez-Torres and Kelly Bishop coming down pit road for their money stop here, as they haven't been in since about lap number 41. So now we should be seeing Keith Kelman, Scott Kukas, and James Campbell getting ready to come down pit road here, as Glazer nice and comfortable out here with about almost 9/10 of a second over Jeff Hollingsworth.
He's starting to pull a little bit of a gap on Hollingsworth as well, as Hollingsworth mired in a little bit of traffic right now. Just got clear to them. The only truck that's between him and Glazer right now is the 84 of Richard Mcclure. And like we mentioned earlier, Mcclure is one... who was that? That was a 20. Going for a ride coming off a 4.
That was definitely the 20 going for the bottom of the track here. We'll take a look back quick and see if we can see what happened, folks.
Missed.
And we'll see just what happened. We see the 20 working the low side here, and I think you're right. Yep. Just gets himself sideways, locks the tires up, and oh my. And I'll tell you what, wow, the 53 of Carl Burke just barely missed him.
That was a Code Brown moment if I've ever seen one.
Absolutely. And folks, when we see it come up here on your screen again, that painted area on the inside of the front stretch is raised a little bit, as you saw James Campbell bounce up in the air. And I'll tell you what, it's almost like a road course where it just completely annihilates the front end undercarriage of that car.
Even more so with the next gen Cup cars, because they've got that flat under tray. It just completely annihilates anything that's down there as the truck bottoms out, or car bottoms out, going over that curbing. Is Dennis Husan trying to reel in Bob Beltrami as they're working by, that looks like the 86? Yes. The 86 of Andre Savala. But Fusan right on Beltrami now as they go through 1 and 2.
And Christian Bishop and Kyle McCartney about to go side by side here down the front stretch. And we see them setting up to go into turn 1 here. And it looks like McCartney isn't going to be giving this position up easily as he works his way around Bishop to secure third position right now.
What was that?
Didn't see it, Tony.
Oh, no.
Waiting for an update from Tony.
That was Kelly Bishop. Coming out of 2. Just got hooked by the 84, and oi, we have lost the shuttle.
I'll say, you know, I got to be completely honest, with 25 laps to go, there's almost no time to even look here, as we haven't seen a certain something happen all evening long with 25 to go here. As we march toward lap number 107 at Homestead-Miami Speedway, Bentley Glazier race leader, followed by Jeff Hollingsworth, about 1.2 seconds behind now, with Kyle McCartney, Christian Bishop, and Wayne Hutchison rounding out your top 5. Jeff Schmeyer in 6th position right now, running a nice, healthy race here, chasing down Brian Barnes, with Dennis Fusan in the number 11 Tito's Handmade Vodka Chevrolet running in 8th. Bob Beltrami in that Beltrami Salami number 14 Toyota Tundra in 9th, with Andre E. Savala rounding out your top 10, Tony. So things winding down as far as racing goes, but that temperature getting turned up for competition.
Yeah, absolutely. As there's only 3 more trucks after Savala in 10th. You got Charles Woods, Paul Crumry, and Rob Gall in 13th, rounding out your lead lap trucks. Chris Walker in the 34, the first truck 1 or more laps down. So should we see what we don't want to see, Walker should get the free pass at this point. But that gap from Hollingsworth in 2nd back to McCartney, it was north of 4 seconds. It's now down to 2.5.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, McCartney and Bishop, usually very tough competitors, as it looks like Fred Williams has gotten himself wrapped up. We'll take a run back and see what happened with Fred. Oh, no.
Well,
and it looks like Fred Bishop had gotten into Jeff Schmeyer coming down the back stretch, and we'll see that right here, folks, as they're going to enter your screen from the right. Coming down the back stretch, Williams just comes right up into Schmeyer and sends him for a ride. And, of course, Williams himself just waiting for impact as he hits that inside wall.
So the 1.5 mile Homestead-Miami Speedway racing like a short track tonight.
Absolutely. And interestingly enough, no caution coming out for that. So we stay under green here with 21 laps to go. Bentley Glazier, your race leader, as Wayne Hutchison looking with an 8-second gap between himself and Christian Bishop. I mean, that has to be, as I look, almost the largest gap of the night.
Yeah, that's impressive. But,
you know, we
again,
see that every week. And, you know, folks, when we talk about fixed setups, I mean, you know, if you're in an open setup league, you're going to see leads like that all the time because people are driving on different equipment. But when you see that kind of a gap here, that 8-second gap, that means that Bishop is just that much more of a skilled driver over Hutchison at this track. You know, Hutchison may have the edge on him at a Bristol or, you know, something a little bit more similar to Charlotte. But here, it just seems like Bishop knows how to get around this track and really make that truck boogie.
Absolutely. Is Schmeyer and Barnes going after it right now? Is Barnes able to wrestle the 6th spot away from Schmeyer? Schmeyer with heavy damage on the front of that Ford F-150. He's got nothing for the Toyota Barnes as Barnes starts to walk away from him as, we are 18 laps to go.
No, and right now, that was probably the worst thing that could have happened for Jeff Schmeyer as he sits second in points right now. So he definitely doesn't want to try to come down and get any repairs done at this point. He is just going to have to to grit his teeth and muscle this one out.
Yeah, he kind of has to at this point, and he knows that if he has to, he can use this as a drop week because there's still plenty of racing left. Next week, though, I'm kind of looking forward to that one as well, as these guys bring round number 14 to the Nashville Super Speedway, not to be confused with the Nashville Fairgrounds track. This is the big track in Nashville.
Yeah, and, just as a disclaimer, for those of us that were new to iRacing last year when the Nashville Super Speedway came about, that's a 1.5 mile track, folks. That is not a super speedway that we are thinking about. 2.5 miles or 2.66 miles in the case of Talladega. I was completely caught off guard, Tony. And when I say completely caught off guard, I downloaded the track, got a setup, went out to practice, and laid the throttle down thinking it was going to react like a super speedway. It did not work. So, definitely some intermediate track length there. I guess super speedway, as far as when you look at that compared to Nashville Fairgrounds, it does look like a super speedway.
Well, when you compare, Nashville Fairgrounds is only about a 1/2 mile track, but some of the greatest names in stock car racing history have hollowed the grounds at the Nashville Fairgrounds.
Folks, take a look here.
And for that matter, some of the most hallowed names in country music used to race there.
Fair enough. That's absolutely fair. Folks, take a look here at the sheer distance between Bentley Glazer, Jeff Hollingsworth, and Kyle McCartney as we are following in the chopper cam. Bentley Glazer has now opened himself up one heck of a healthy lead over Jeff Hollingsworth. Hollingsworth and McCartney close enough to compete, but Bentley Glazer once again running away with this piece as he's already amassed 4 wins this season with 10 top 5s and 12 top 10s. With 5 poles to his credit. It just looks like he is going to outskill everybody else here, as it appears McCartney looking to the inside of Hollingsworth here going into turn 1. And I'll tell you what, Tony, looks like McCartney able to secure that spot away.
And it goes back to tire strategy. You're talking about 6-lap difference in the tires on Hollingsworth's truck and McCartney's truck. And this is also the time of the race where McCartney saving his equipment earlier is really paying dividends now, as he's starting to reel in Glazer and pull a gap on Hollingsworth, as Hollingsworth a little bit of trouble coming off of 4. That's going to let Gall get back by him in that Fujifilm's number 31. And I still say, and I'm going to stick by this till the season's over, Rob Gall is due. Mark my words, before season's out, he is going to get a win.
Rob Gall, every race that I've seen so far this season since I've come alongside of you here, he's always there, but he's not there. He's always so close. And, we see a lot of drivers like that in our time here in the broadcast booth. Rob Gall is definitely one of them. It's the same way that I feel about Bob Beltrami, who last week made it to the podium for the first time since I've come along here in the Western States Racing League. Some drivers that you just find yourself, even as an impartial broadcaster, hoping that they do well.
Yeah, we had a perfect example of that on Friday night, as there were one of the drivers in that league just recently lost his wife. She had her battle with breast cancer. She couldn't do it, but Brian Tarnowski came home with the victory, and I think I had just as many tears in my eyes as he did in his eyes during that post-race interview, just able to celebrate the fact that he put her car in victory lane. And those are the types of stories that, as a broadcaster, you look forward to being able to have and to share with these drivers. That, yes, we are supposed to be impartial, but I'm sorry, you're not a broadcaster worth your salt if you don't form a relationship with the drivers of the leagues that you broadcast.
And as you were just talking about Brian Tarnowski, I had the privilege of calling a fundraiser race in his wife Stacy's honor about a month and a half ago before her passing. And, I've raced side by side with Tarnowski. I'm not going to lie. I've gotten into him and wrecked his truck, and he's gotten into me conversely and done the same thing. But at the end of the day, Brian is such a good person, and as a community, we need to be able to lift him up and support him. And we lift each other up and support each other, regardless of our situations, distance. Some of us may never have met, and some may never actually meet in person, but you form such a brotherhood or sisterhood of relationship strength.
Right.
That, it's, for me, I can only express it in terms of, firefighting and the brotherhood of all of those of us who have put a helmet on and gone to work. But,
Right.
Here in iRacing, it may be a different brand of brother and sisterhood, but still just as strong.
Whenever an iRacer needs help, and this is something I've learned since day one of being in the iRacing servers, having both driven and broadcasted charity races, whenever an iRacer needs help, you're going to see drivers come out in droves looking to help raise money for that cause. Whether it be something with a child, we've done our share of autism awareness races. We have done charity races for cancer victims. We've done charity races for victims of natural disasters. So, the fact that iRacers take care of their own, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, you may race like cats and dogs on the track, and I'm going to race you just as hard as I possibly can because I don't want to be finishing behind you, Dave. But when all is said and done, if you need help, myself and a lot of other iRacers out here are going to be there at your side going, okay, brother, what do you need? And that's the beauty of this whole community. You're not going to see that in Madden. You're not going to see that in MLB The Show. You're not going to see that in any other air quote simulator out there. The video games. You will see it in the iRacing community.
Absolutely, and it's something to behold. It really is. So, folks, if this is your first night with us, feel free to subscribe and turn on those bell notifications as, we enjoy bringing more people into the fold that we've been talking about the last couple of laps here at Homestead-Miami. And there are 5 laps to go with Kyle Mccartney atop the pile as he was able, just a few short minutes ago, able to get around Bentley Glazer here. And we'll take a quick look at that before we get ready to bring it home.
I'll see you over there.
Folks, we are going to you're going to hear a little bit of a hiccup maybe as Tony and I are going to move over to where we're supposed to be. Of course, you've been able to hear us with next to no problem. But, here we are.
The height
able
of
to switch.
professionalism
Yes.
we are.
This is the ESPN Employee of the Month right here.
Welcome to live broadcasting.
We're doing this without a net, folks. It's kind of like building an airplane while it's in mid-flight.
Pretty much. But Bentley Glazer's in trouble right now as he has been running in second place. Rob Gall has gotten his lap back as Glazer looks like he may have just tail slapped the wall coming off of 4. Hollingsworth is steady reeling in his teammate right now.
And I'll tell you what, Hollingsworth not going to give up easy. He is one driver that I never see go to bed early for these races with 3 laps to go as he is closing in on Glazer. But, as optimistic as we'd like to be, Tony, Glazer is just dialed in, and he's about to pick up a draft off of the 31 of Rob Gall, as Rob did manage to get that lap back, and now Schmeyer doing similar. But,
Well, Schmeyer's got that heavy damage, so he's just trying to limp that truck home as we are 3 laps to go.
2 laps now as Kyle Mccartney has
No,
now...
3. Oh, no, 2.
That's all right. We learned how to count together and get in the right Discord server. Folks, again, the ESPN Sim Racing Media Employee of the Month.
1, 2, 3, not it.
But Kyle McCartney now has a 4.3 second lead over Glazer And Hollingsworth probably not going to have enough to get around Jeff Schmeyer and then still reel Glazer in, as there's enough to draft but not enough track to get it done.
Unfortunately, no, as we are running out of time very quickly, as almost the entire length of the back straightaway, Kyle McCartney shows the way, coming into turn 3 for the final time. The driver of the Snap-on Tools Toyota Tundra, number 18, Kyle McCartney, getting it done when he needs to. Big points night for the 18 tonight. Kyle McCartney coming home with the victory. Glazer hanging on for second. Hollingsworth in third. Christian Bishop crosses now for fourth. And Wayne Hutchinson coming out of 4 is going to hang on for 5th.
Absolutely. And in 6th position, Dennis Fuson, with Brian Barnes finishing just now in 7th position. Bob Beltrami in that number 14 Beltrami Salami Toyota Tundra, followed by Andre E. Savala and Charles Woods here at beautiful Homestead-Miami Speedway. And we should be just getting ourselves set up now to talk to our top 3. So I will step aside for a moment as we get that all sorted out.
Actually, why don't we step back and pay a couple of bills while we wait for those drivers to get into the Discord server.
Drivers that took time, all of them within 3.5 tenths of each other tonight is going to be a very closely competitive race.
As the field works its way out of the 3-4 complex, the only thing that's left to say is wipe the visor, adjust the 5-point safety harness, because race fans, it's showtime!
Amazing looking cars already. Green flag will fly.
Well, oh, they're wrecking! Well, one thing that you're going to see at this track that we haven't seen the last few weeks is a surface that's multi-group. I think this is the first multi-group surface we're going to have.
After an amazing race at Daytona, we now come to the left coast and Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California for the second round of the Way She Goes Racing League Cup Series. And we are back from Homestead-Miami Speedway following some post-race festivities going out on track. Joining us now, driver of the United States Coast Guard, number 98, Mr. Jeff Hollingsworth, coming home in the 3rd position here tonight. And Jeff, I'm looking at the track temperature, almost 140 degrees out there. How slick was that track?
It was slick. I was just saying earlier, we were having to wheel it the whole time, but it made it fun. You know, it was a lot of fun. I'm so proud of this league. We went caution free there. It was as slippery as that was. That was a blast.
Yeah, that was very impressive, and I know Dave and I were making those comments during the race that, you know, there was a couple of times where a caution probably could have been called, but everybody did what they could to make sure that we stayed under green conditions. There was a couple of pucker moments going on towards the later part of the race with guys having brain fade a little bit and some things popping off around you. Uh, Talk us through just the type of fun that you have week in and week out racing with your buddies here in Western States.
Yeah, it's a blast. It's a good group, and it's like you said, really quality racers. Just having a good time, and after last week, we kind of had kind of a cluster last week, so this made up for it a lot with zero cautions and 10 lead changes and pit strategies and loose car or loose trucks, and it was a really good time. This is why I do this, just to wheel it and have fun with my friends.
Absolutely. Well, next week we go to a slightly different mile and a half in the Nashville Super Speedway. What are your thoughts going into Music City next week?
I like that track. I think it'll be fun. It's got grip. Turn four, if you hit it right, you're going to be good. If not, you're going to tear up your right front. So I'm looking forward to it. It ought to be a good time.
All right, Jeff. Again, congratulations for bringing the United States Coast Guard some pride here tonight, coming home on the podium. Who do you need to thank before we let you go celebrate with your team?
I'm going to first shout out to my brother-in-law. I think he was watching. So hey, Jonathan, love you, brother. And my teammates, of course, all the guys. We made up a good chunk of this field tonight. My wife for letting me play around and have fun with this. And you guys for putting it on. And Bob, this is our 1800th points race in this league, so that's mighty big. So
Good grief.
yeah, he said that earlier. I saw it in the announcements too. So that's pretty awesome. So appreciate everybody. God bless and have a good night.
All right, Jeff Hollingsworth, we'll see you next week at Music City.
Yes, sir.
And Dave, I believe you've got second place Bentley Glazer with you now.
Bentley
nope.
Glazer, Dave Regal up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yep, I got it.
Hey, man, listen, you put on one heck of a challenge for Kyle McCartney tonight as you had led a good portion of the race, which, since I've been here with Tony working your league here, it always seems like you are literally not one of the usual suspects. You are the usual suspect. Here you are sitting atop the point standings, adding yet another top 5 into your hat with now 11 on the season. How did that truck feel tonight for you?
Well, the track was super hot, so it was very slippery. The last run I was probably wrecking every corner. I was, just trying to hang on.
Yeah, and we took a look at that in pre-race, and track temperature was 132 degrees at the start of this race. I mean, how did that affect, as far as being able to grip? I know that this is kind of a mixed bag when it comes to racing surface. How did that affect your grip, and where did that line move toward the end? Because it seemed like early on everybody was a little higher than usual.
Yeah, it started out 132, but I heard like Charlie said it was like got up to 140. So, and in practice it was cooler than that. So when it got in the race, it was a lot slippier. So I don't know. It's kind of unexpected, and then I think I pitted a little too early, and at one point in the run I hit the wall. But Kyle ran a perfect race, and I know I was holding him up on the first run. He was running the low line, and I just couldn't figure that out right then. And then
You
yeah,
know,
I did as good as I could.
and speaking of perfect races, I mean, a tip of the cap to you and all of your fellow racers down there. 107 laps tonight, no cautions. I mean, when you say a perfect race, Kyle might have run a perfect race, but as a whole, the Western States Racing League always seems to be running close, if not truly, a perfect race here. So, a tip of the cap to you guys out here on the track is, Tony and I have talked about the high average I rating that you guys have for your strength of field. I mean, you guys should absolutely be proud of what you've built here.
Oh, definitely. It's a really good league, and yeah, everyone should be really proud that they just finished the race because this was a really hard car to drive tonight. Uh, yeah, just hanging on, and I know everybody else was. So good job to everybody. And Kyle, it was a great race, and like we always race really hard, and we seem to never hit each other. So it was great racing all around.
That's definitely a sign of good competitors. Before we cut you loose here, is there anybody you'd like to thank and give a shout out to?
Thanks to you guys broadcasting. Thanks to Bob for putting on the league, and thanks to my teammates at OGR, and thanks to everybody in the league for driving good.
All right, Bentley. Listen, congratulations on that podium finish tonight. As I believe, Tony, you should have Kyle McCartney with you here in the broadcast
Driver,
booth.
driver of the Snap-on Tools, number 18 Toyota Tundra, the man of the hour right now, Kyle McCartney. Congratulations on another win here at Homestead-Miami.
Yeah, thanks, Tony and Dave. I kind of figured with it being the 1800 race for the WSRL, I better park that 18 in victory lane tonight. So I drove the wheels off the darn thing.
Literally and figuratively, considering that the track temperature was north of 180 degrees at one point. We've already heard from Jeff and Bentley. Let's hear it from your side. How difficult was it to save tires here tonight?
Well, that first run when I was tucked up behind both of them, I was trying way too hard. And near the end of the run, I don't think any of us three had anything left. And so when they came and pitted, I said, okay, that's fine. I'll let them kind of do their thing, and I'm going to run my own race from here on out. And as soon as I did that, I missed my pit stall, so I had to back up. And then I thought the night was over. But I kind of took it easy at the start of the run, and sure enough, I caught back up to them and blew past them, and that was awesome until they pitted with 40 to go. And next thing you know, I decided to stay out, and they just had a huge lead. I didn't think I was going to get them there, but that was fun. Glad it was caution free.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that Dave and I were talking about during the race, is the fact that the level of skill in this field from top to bottom is second to none in any league you're going to find in the iRacing servers. But Kyle, the fact that you guys run on so many different tracks all season long with a fixed setup, it really shows the level of competency y'all have getting behind the wheel of these trucks. And we do change gears a little bit next week. We stay with the mile and a half, but we go to the Nashville Super Speedway. Your thoughts going into Music City next week?
That's a fun track. I kind of have a feeling Bentley's gonna kind of walk all over us. He's tended to do that on the mile and a half, but it should be fun. A little bit lesson learned. I don't think we're gonna see many cautions there, just with the big infields and stuff. When someone spins out, they just let it keep going. So should be a good event. Hopefully, we get to do that one under the lights, though.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun if it does go under the lights. But Kyle, again, congratulations on bringing that Snap-on Tools Toyota Tundra home in victory lane, up 3 from where you started the night with. Difficulty in qualifying at all?
I actually didn't really get to practice any qualifying runs. I ran probably about 40 or 50 laps of long green flag runs just to see what would happen with the truck. So when I qualified fourth, I was actually pretty happy with that, and that I wasn't buried. So that was pretty good.
All right, Kyle, who do you need to thank before we let you go celebrate with your team?
Well, first of all, I was hoping to do this last week, but I want to wish my wife a belated happy birthday. It was her birthday last week, and so I didn't get to do that. I also want to give a shout out to Bob Beltrami for running this league for as long as he had. 1,800 races is pretty amazing. And then I got to give a shout out to my mom and my little brother who are watching from their houses. Who knows where. So thank you guys. It's been a great night. A lot of fun.
All right, Kyle McCartney, congratulations on winning here at Homestead-Miami. We'll see you next week in Nashville.
All right, catch you guys later.
So, Dave, we got another one in the books, my friend.
Absolutely, Tony. And I'll tell you what, next week we're going to Nashville Super Speedway, as we talked about. And then the week after that is the week of Easter, of course. So 120 laps at Nashville Super Speedway. I'm looking forward to it because that will be the second season of NASCAR racing in the Music City at the Super Speedway.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see him using the track again. There was quite a distance in time that that track was just sat there abandoned, and the fact that we are in the second race season for that track to be back. It put on a good show last year, and I can only imagine now that drivers have a little more experience on that track and the crew chiefs have a little more experience on that track, we're going to see better and better racing as the seasons wear on.
Absolutely. And I mean, the deeper that we get into this season, we're going to see a lot of different styles of racing here in the Western States Racing League. I mean, tonight with Kyle McCartney, Bentley Glazer, and Jeff Hollingsworth atop the pile, to be honest, they're the usual suspects. But something tells me as things heat up, especially as you look through those standings, I think we're going to start seeing Wayne Hutchison be a little bit more aggressive out here. Bob Beltrami sitting in fifth. I think he's had just about enough of being patient, hanging back. And I think we're going to start seeing those two drivers there make that push. And probably over the next 3 to 4 races, Jeff Schmeyer is about to turn it on as well.
Well, I mean, I'm expecting Hutchinson to really, step up. I'm expecting to see Fuson in victory lane before the season's out. Brian Barnes, he's already won one this season. I wouldn't put it past him to win another one. Bob Beltrami is due. Charles Woods coming home in the top 10 tonight. Showing that there's still life in that United States Postal Service number 40. And just a little tidbit of information: Charles Woods is north of 70 and still running in the top 10.
And that's impressive to me. I mean, in this league, there may be just 118 points between, 8th and 1st. But, the season's not over yet. These drivers are going to be charging hard the rest of the way.
Yeah, very much so. And we still got a lot of racing left here in season number 46 of the Western States Racing League. But, Dave, we've got Homestead-Miami in the books. I'm looking forward to what we've got coming up. More importantly, looking forward to that off week with the Easter holiday coming.
Absolutely. And speaking of that Easter holiday, there will be a race on Sunday, on Easter Sunday at 8:30 p.m. That was just solidified that we will have that Sunday night at 8:30, featuring myself and a partner to be named later. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Emily Urias, but we will be bringing you Sunday Night NASCAR's Cup Series, sponsored by Davis Brothers Roofing. So let's take a look at that final wrap-up here with Kyle McCartney atop the pile in the number 18 Toyota Tundra, followed by Bentley Glazer in the number 87 Toyota. Jeff Hollingsworth finishes third, Christian Bishop in fourth, Wayne Hutchison in fifth, Dennis Fuson in sixth, Brian Barnes in seventh with Bob Beltrami behind him in eighth position, Andre E. Savala in ninth with Charles Woods in the number 40 United States Postal Service Chevrolet finishing in 10th, Rob Gall in 11th with Jeff Schmeyer in 12th, Chris Walker in 13th, Paul Crumry in 14th, and Javier Perez Torres in the number 23 Chevrolet rounds out your top 15, Tony.
Eric Woods coming home in 16th in the number 85. Julian Ricci coming home in 17th. 18th goes to Scott Kukas in the 22. Carl Burke in the 53. Not a night he was hoping for, finishing 2 laps down in 19th. Keith Kellman rounding out your top 20. Richard Mcclure coming home in 21st. 22nd goes to James Campbell, Dustin Burns, Kelly Bishop, and Barry Phil rounding out your top 25. Gary Johnson, Daryl Scott, Fred Williams, Timmy Bates, and Alan Bergen, your top 30. Angelo Espo, Theo Bishop, and Troy Campbell was the last one to take the green, as Will Fletcher did not start in 34th. So that is going to do it for us tonight from Homestead-Miami Speedway. Again, be sure to join us tomorrow night on the Esports Broadcasting Network, as we've got a doubleheader for you on tap. The Thunderclap Stock Car Racing Series, Fontana 200. That's going to be an 8:10 start on that one. And the Way She Goes Racing League, round number 7 at Richmond. That starts at 9. So for Mr. Dave Regal, this is Tony Trapasso reminding you, ladies and gentlemen, that as you walk down the road of life, please don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.